Hey, everybody, welcome to the True Crime Squad. I'm Christy Brower, here with my sister, co host, and partner in all things crime, Katie Weaver. Hey, Katie,
Hello.
how's it going?
Oh, it's going. I just got a notification on my phone that the Amazon driver's on his way, so I'm going to apologize in advance for what's going to happen because those guys ring the doorbell every time, and
Yeah,
my dogs lose it. So anyway, if you hear some chaos, it's just because someone had the nerve to buy something on Amazon. That's all.
no one's breaking in. It's all good. Well, this is our Tuesday episode, and what we
Hmm.
bring to you today, my friends, is a WTF extravaganza. Because honestly, sometimes crime is just fucking hilarious. And for that, we are grateful. And we need a break from all the murder and mayhem to tell you some stories about some stupid shit that people have done. So,
Indeed.
Katie, I'm going to kick you right off with our very first segment of WTF News.
Okay. You know, I grappled with whether or not this segment should be WTF or if it should be Florida Man, because it's all Florida men in this story.
Uh-huh.
However, both fit. So, WTF, Florida Man.
Sure.
I started out by finding an article about a man who stole an ambulance. And I was
Oh,
like, wow, what? Well, that, in searching for more information, led me down a rabbit hole of just how often this has happened in Florida. So, I'm actually going to give you in this segment 3 condensed stories of times that men found it prudent to steal an ambulance in Florida.
oh, good Lord.
So, we're going to start in Tampa. And this is a man named Hubert Lee Credit. And Hubert, I guess, didn't understand that if you need an ambulance, you call 911 and they send an ambulance to you and they drive you to the hospital. I think we're all pretty clear on how this works, right?
Seems pretty standard. Yes, yes.
Well, not so much Hubert. Hubert ended up getting in a scuffle with 4 men. And one of those men hurt him. And he felt like he needed to go to the hospital.
Okay.
Well, he went outside of
As
his
you do.
house. Sure. Went outside of his house, and lo and behold, there was an ambulance down the street. And there was no one in it. The reason there was no one in it is because the paramedics were inside the home treating a patient. But old Hubert thought this would be a good opportunity to take himself to the hospital. So he hopped inside and took off.
What the hell?
So the paramedics are inside taking care of a patient who I'm going to assume probably needed to go to the hospital. And this
Right?
jackass steals the hospital or steals the ambulance and takes off. So luckily they saw out the window this happening and called the police. And ambulance have tracking devices, so the police were able to find him pretty quick. And he was like, "What? I need to go to the hospital."
He's just going to drive the stolen ambulance to the hospital to be treated.
Yeah. So the police
Someone
were
missed
like, "Well,
first grade, kindergarten. When did we learn this?
I think I think we learned it." So the police were like, "Hubert, we're going to do this for you. We're going to take you to the hospital. Well, we'll give you a ride. You don't even have to drive the cop car. We'll give you a ride."
Yeah,
And then they gave him a ride to jail.
I imagine they did.
So
God,
lesson learned, I guess. It's hard to
fingers
say.
crossed, but I don't know.
It's hard to say. Another incident that also happened, well, in Florida. This was in Hernando County in 2021. And a man, while first responders were assisting a patient, like seriously, what the hell?
Like, this is not the time to be stealing cars. What the?
Hmm. This was actually at the hospital. The paramedics disembarked with a patient, took them inside for treatment, and this fool, Trey Cornwell, hops in the ambulance and takes off. So the paramedics come back outside to get in their rig, and it's gone. So they call the police, and of course, the
As you do.
police discover this Trey Cornwell behind the wheel. Now, he did manage to get 8 miles away where he got it stuck. It gets worse. In sand and mud as he was driving towards a body of water. What?
What was that? What was that movie where they had to drive an ambulance out? Oh, no, it was on Bones. Remember that? They had to drive an ambulance out into a field and because it was going to explode. Maybe he
Oh,
thought he was driving a bomb into the ocean. I don't know.
drugs are bad, bro. Who knows what he was thinking?
Right.
But he, yep. So he did get caught when he did get the ambulance stuck trying to, yep, obviously drive it into some kind of a body of water. Why did he do it? We don't know. There's no rhyme or reason for doing such a thing. I didn't think. But there's one more. There were actually more than these, but these are the ones I narrowed down on. This one happened in 2014. This is Ezekiel Ford, who was at the hospital and was discharged and ready to go home. And he walked outside and saw, you know what? Ambulance running with the door open because, paramedics were doing their jobs.
Emergencies and stuff. Yeah.
And he was like, good idea. So he hopped inside and drove himself home. When the police got there,
Just
he was
drove
just,
home.
yep, just drove himself home. The police got there, he's just sitting on the front steps chilling. And they're like, so what's going on here? And he's like, nothing. Did, did you steal the ambulance? Well, I didn't steal it. I just needed to come home. I was all done at the hospital. So they're like, well, you can't just take the ambulance. And he's like, well, I just needed to get home. So the police
What?
were like, well, you can't do that. So he was arrested, and charged because, as it turns out, you can't just steal the ambulance from the hospital to take your ass home when you decide you're done there.
Right. It may seem like it when you get the bill for having been in the hospital that you have, in fact, purchased an ambulance for yourself, but that is not how it works.
This is true. So on one hand, it's not that funny to be stealing ambulances that people having real emergencies need. On the
No.
other, I'm baffled. Florida, what are you teaching your children? That as
Right.
adults, they don't understand you can't just take the ambulance? Or maybe they do know. You know, this is a case of dumb criminals. But at any rate, there you go. Now, if you're a paramedic, let this be a cautionary tale. You better lock your rig because people want to steal it. They want to
Hmm.
steal it.
They clearly do. Ambulances, I mean, they're fun. Think about all the lights and the sirens and all the cool shit inside to mess with. It's kind of like being in the doctor's office when you want to touch all the tongue depressors. It's kind of like
Hmm.
that, I think.
Do you suppose any of these guys, after they stole the ambulance, flipped up on all the lights and the sirens and were really joyriding? And
I mean, why not? Why not get full benefit of your crime, I guess. I don't
that's
know.
not going to draw additional
I, as a
attention to
rational
you.
human being,
So,
am trying to make sense of why you would ever steal an ambulance in the first place, and I doubt I'm getting there. I doubt I'm getting
I,
there.
I don't think I can help you. Not with these stories, for sure. Nope. But there you have it. The the tale of the three stolen ambulances.
Well, wow.
And with that, I'm going to kick the mic back over to you for our main WTF case.
Yes. I have been cackling to myself all day about telling you this story because I love it when I find a good dumb criminal story. It's one of my favorite things ever. And usually I tell you bank robbery stories because there are so many dumb bank robbers. But no, this is a little different. Let me set the scene for you. Back in the spring, April, and March of this year, there was a real problem in Pennsylvania with semi trucks getting robbed in the middle of the night. So, like, they're parked so the driver can sleep. And these six men would roll up on these trucks in their white box truck. They would
Mm.
usually subdue the driver and like make them lay under their box truck or something while they took their bolt cutters, opened up the back of the semi and stole whatever was in it.
Mhm.
And they had stolen things like meat, shrimp, beer, refrigerators. It was all random because they did not know what was in the truck.
Oh.
Gonna take what was ever was in that truck, and then they were gonna try to sell it, and they would sell a lot of stuff online, and all of a sudden, they would be real flushing frozen shrimp and stuff like that.
So it's just a Christmas morning kind of deal. You don't know
Pretty
what you're gonna
much.
get. Okay.
Yeah. So then one night, they I'm gonna just say it, they fucked up. They rolled up on this semi, cracked her open, and what did they find? TVs? High-end electronics? No.
Ooh.
What they found was $750,000 in dimes from the US Mint.
Oh,
6 tons of dimes
of dimes.
packaged in big bags on pallets. 6 tons. Okay.
Oh my god.
I like to think that there may have been one slightly rational person in this group that went, I think we should probably just close that and pretend we weren't here. But no, they decided they were going to have their payday no matter what.
Ooh.
Well, they can't move the dimes because 6 tons. Okay.
Yeah. Did they
So
steal them all?
just wait.
Oh.
So they have to cut these big bags of dimes open and transfer them into smaller bags to start transferring them into their truck, which,
Dime
as
bags,
you
if you will.
might, dime bags, if you will, yes, you may consider that this was a lot bigger undertaking than they were probably prepared for that night. They made it through about a third of the dimes
Mhm.
and made an absolutely god awful mess. This is what it looked like the next morning.
Oh,
Dimes
no.
everywhere, all
Everywhere.
over the parking lot, just spilled. Every little sparkly bit you see in these photos is a dime all over the parking lot. So they gave up at about a third of the dimes. So that's still nearly 2 tons
Mhm.
of dimes. Okay. So they
Oh.
hauled them off. But what, you may ask, are they going to do with $234,500 in dimes?
That's not inconspicuous.
No, not inconspicuous at all, right? You can just walk up to a bank with an entire box truck of brand new dimes from the US Mint, and
Sure.
they're going to be like, we'll put them in your account today.
You've really been
Uh,
saving up.
yeah, no. Do you remember these? Remember,
Oh,
remember
no.
coin rolls when we were kids, right? So I did
Yeah.
a little math for us because there's when you roll dimes, remember we all did this as kids. Probably a lot of us were Gen Xers, so
Mhm. Yeah.
those of us Gen Xers and older, we know.
Yeah.
You'd score change from your parents or you'd save up change for a long time and then you would get the little sleeves from the bank and you would roll them and then take them in and be able to buy stuff with them, right? Well, I did a little math for us. If they rolled $234,500 in dimes,
Mhm.
they would have to roll 46,800 rolls of dimes. So who wants to guess that they did not do that? Because no, they didn't.
No.
The first thing they did is they did some internet searches, we know now from the investigation, to figure out how much money, how many dimes they had based upon weight, because they realized there was no way in hell they were counting these dimes. They had no idea how much money they had. So they apparently weighed the dimes. Then they started taking the dimes to coin stars at various grocery stores. Have
Mhm.
you been used to a coin star? First of all, Coinstar takes like 11%, so they're losing money
Mhm.
on this deal. Plus, you can't just bring in like a giant cooler full of
Right.
dimes on a dolly to put in the Coinstar.
Sure.
And they cashed in some at a few different banks as well. But
That's
upon their
gutsy.
arrest for all of these crimes that they have committed, they have only spent a few $1,000s in dimes. Now, the police have yet to find the rest of the dimes, but they couldn't even spend them after they got them.
Sure.
It's the funniest crime I've ever seen in my life. I can't believe they actually went through with it after what they saw. Like, how many, what did, what the hell were they going to do with all those damn dimes? You know, like you can't even take them to slot machines anymore because they're all digital.
Mm-hmm.
What were you going to? When we were kids, a dime actually bought something. You could purchase things with a dime.
Sure.
Dimes are practically useless now. I
Well,
mean,
and with that many dimes stolen, of course, everyone's on the lookout now for anyone trying to fence dimes.
right,
Like, and
right,
who
like
shows up with only dimes?
right, no one. I mean, no matter what they do, they are conspicuous as hell. I just found this whole thing hilarious. Also, that they gave up at this
Hmm.
point. They apparently stole some recycling containers from a business in the parking lot where they stole the dimes. The police think they probably were using them to try to transport the dimes, but they're desperately trying to save their operation here. But
Wow.
no. And now they're going to federal prison because they stole money from the US Mint.
Yeah.
Federal time for stealing 2 tons of dimes.
Unbelievably stupid.
Was it worth it,
Wow.
dummies? Was it? Thinking no.
No. No.
I mean, come on. Ah, the visual of
Yikes.
like opening up the bags and the dimes just pouring everywhere. Can you imagine what it looked like? And they're like, oh shit. They're trying to bag them up and then they're lugging these heavy.
Mhm.
They took nearly 2 tons worth of dimes.
Right. Well,
That
can
is
you
a
imagine how much
lot
they were
of
probably
weight.
bitching at each other? And
They probably couldn't even raise their arms over their heads after a while, and they're like, "Okay, that's all we can do.
Mhm.
We're worn out, and everyone's pissed. Why are we doing
Mhm.
this? This is the dumbest thing we've ever done. We are definitely getting caught for this."
They probably all needed a chiropractor by the time it was over. Can you imagine?
No, I cannot. And the fact that even now most of the dimes are missing, but we know they have not actually been spent is
Mhm.
hilarious to me. So, if you find anybody trying to offload a lot of dimes on you, I would call the cops in Pennsylvania.
Mhm. That
And
seems
with
wise.
that, Katie, I'm going to kick it back to you for a little more WTF news.
Indeed. Recently in Poland, there was a mall robbery that happened at
Okay.
this guy right here.
Okay.
You might see how he has his arm outstretched and he's holding a bag.
Yeah.
That's because he was pretending to be a mannequin.
What?
And it worked. And he got locked into the mall and stole a bunch of jewelry from a kiosk and ransacked some other shops in the mall. There's video of him slinking under some of the, the things they pull down to lock their stores,
Yeah.
and also wandering into a closed restaurant and making himself some food and just kind of living it up in the mall. One of the problems is apparently this isn't the first time he has robbed that mall. He's
Oh.
well known in that mall for getting into nonsense there. And so he's looking at 10 years in prison now, but literally just by standing there doing this, people thought he was a mannequin.
Did they not notice that the other mannequins don't have faces?
Well,
I
yeah.
mean, what?
So I was thinking about this and about the idea of people committing crimes by pretending to be mannequins. And so I did a towards the end of this article, they talked about, and I have to actually quote what they said because this really piqued my interest. They said European countries have been having difficulty with people posing as mannequins and stealing from stores. What?
Okay,
Um,
they need to hire one person, and it's their job to run around and poke every mannequin with a pin right before they close the store. And if any of them yelp, thief
but
caught.
out of here, you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had to do a little more searching because I had no idea that European countries were having such a problem with people
Right.
posing as mannequins. Well, as it turns out, there have been quite a few instances. Now, this happened in Rome a little more than 10 years ago now, but this is a group of three men who were also veteran thieves, apparently, uh, 55, 70, and 78 years old. They broke
Wow.
into a high end store, Piazza dei Fiumi. Uh, they they broke in through a rear window at about 4 a.m. on a Sunday and had loaded up about $100,000 or 100,000 euros, sorry, worth of clothing, designer clothing and bags. But they got somebody heard the noise, a neighbor heard the noise and alerted the police. So pretty soon, these guys are in the store, surrounding the store with, these guys are in the store stealing and they see the police surrounding them. So they come up with a plan. So the cops come in and they're befuddled. There's all of these clothes and stuff in bags. There's obviously been robbers here, but where are they?
Mm-hmm.
And they look and they look and they look and they look. And suddenly they discover two mannequins that are just in a spot and in a position that seemed a little wrong. And so they investigated a little closer, and it was two of the men.
They thought they could just freeze,
Yeah, the police
and
said
that
they
would be
were
all it took to fool the police.
dressed well enough that they nearly missed them because they indeed thought they were mannequins. And then a further search of the store finally uncovered the last person who was also impersonating a mannequin. Yeah.
Because mannequins are so lifelike. I mean, come on.
It,
Mannequins generally don't even have faces.
yeah.
How are you going to mask this?
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's funny.
One of the officers said what finally gave it away that they weren't mannequins was that their legs were trembling. Well, that's because they were both nearly 80 years old. They'd been standing there for a long time. Perfect.
Trying to hold perfectly still. Probably one of them had to fart. That's all I'm going to say.
Probably. Probably. Or pee. Or pee.
Mm-hmm.
But wait, there's more.
Of course, there is.
This happened in England in December of 2016. Now, and this one worked. They got away with about 10,000 EU of or euros of or pounds, I guess. I'm not sure. Pounds, I think. Yeah, from stealing from a Beals department store in
Mm-hmm.
Worthing. And they indeed posed as mannequins and waited for the store to close. The police were called when an alarm from inside the store rang, a door opened. But when they got there, it was too late because the robbers were gone. But there were no alarms, there was no sign of breaking in, and they finally realized from security cameras that they had indeed posed as mannequins. And the store closed, locked them in, went home, and then they went about their business of stealing what they wanted to and waltzed right out the back door. So I guess Europe is having a problem with people pretending to be mannequins.
I'm
Who
telling you,
knew?
it's a new profession. Mannequin poker. Mannequin
Apparently.
poker. That's your
Yeah.
job.
Mhm.
Every night when a store closes, you go around and you poke every mannequin with a pin.
Yeah,
And as long as none of them yelp, you're good to go.
you're good to go. A pair of those
Look at us
infra
creating industry right here.
it's true. A pair of
We're
those
creating
infrared,
jobs.
binoculars. You could just scan the whole store, and if you're like,
Ooh, yeah, heat seek. Yeah, heat.
yeah, heat
Yeah, the
seeking,
ones that
yeah.
show heat
A heat-seeking
signatures.
missile, yes, that.
This could be a whole like you could start a whole security firm
Yep,
around false mannequin identification
right? You could be hosting
or the
trainings.
FMI.
That's right. This would be a problem no more.
Right. Maybe I
No,
need
then
to
we'd
start a new business. I don't know.
right? Then we'd find out about mannequins that were, frozen and or, people that were faking to be mannequins that, did get away with it, and when they found out, later it had happened, they'd find a bunch of ice packs on the floor.
Right.
Yep, yep, they did it again, packed themselves with ice packs so they wouldn't show up. I don't know. Hell, I don't know.
That's why I think the pin would work every time.
Yes,
When in
every
doubt,
time.
just poke them with the pin.
Mhm. Plus, that would be pretty gratifying, you know?
Yes, it would. Everyone would feel better about it.
The Yelp. Oh, god damn it. Get out of here! So there you go. A whole day of WTF news.
Wow. Well, I love it because sometimes crime gets heavy. We have to be
Mhm.
reminded that also sometimes crime gets hilarious.
Mhm.
So thanks for being here with us. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, leave us a review wherever you can. We appreciate all of you very much. We do this because we love what we do and we love all of you. And you know it. We are the True Crime Squad. Thanks for being here.
Take care.